Hello, Class 602. My name is Maria Bowen, and I will be talking to you about a lesson for first graders. Um, the subject content area for this lesson is writing narratives. The unit of study is authors as mentors, and we're studying Ezra Jack Keats, who is one of my favorite authors. The lesson title is Ezra Jack Keats Stretches Out Words in His Stories. The total time required for this lesson is 50 minutes. And the mini lesson at the beginning that I would give is 10 to 15 minutes. The active part in which the children would be writing is 25 minutes, and the share portion at the end of the lesson is 10 minutes. The class description, as I see it for this first grade class, is 22 students. Three of the students have an IEP saying that they would benefit from working in small groups. And there is another child who has OT issues. He struggles with fine motor skills. So the objective of this lesson is that the students will be taught to add stretched out words to their writing. And I would start off by saying to the students, last week we were talking about Ezra Jack Keats and how we could use him as a model for our own writing. And we started writing a chart of different strategies Ezra Jack Keats uses in his writing to make it more interesting and to draw the reader into what he is saying in his writing. And I would show the students, we would review the chart that we've gone over previously. Ezra Jack Keats, some of his writing strategies. He writes about everything, everyday things that happen in his life, things that may happen in our lives too. He uses dialogue and quotation marks. He uses internal thinking when he wants us to know what the character is thinking inside their mind. He uses small actions. And he uses sound words, like also called onomatopoeia. And these sound words, if you remember from Snowy Day, crunch, 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 while Peter was walking in the snow. That's a sound word. And what we're looking at today is how Ezra Jack Keats uses stretched out words in his stories. So what we're going to do is go back to The Snowy Day, which I read last week, and find it. And we'll go back to this page. So crunch, crunch, crunch. I don't know if you could see that. Crunch, crunch, crunch. His feet sang into the snow. We're talking about Peter. He walked with his toes pointing out, like this. He walked with his toes pointing in, like this. And then he dragged his feet slowly to make tracks. So what we're looking at today is how he dragged his feet slowly. And let's look at what Ezra Jack Keats did to make me want to say this word so slowly. Do you see how he uses space, dashes in between the letters in the word so that we, the readers, will know how slowly Peter is dragging his feet. Now watch me as I go back to my own story that I wrote, about feeding ducks in the park. And I'm going to read a few lines. I don't know if you can see this. All right. So we walked to the pond in the park, and the ducks were huddled together in the middle of the water. I pulled crackers out, and I handed them to Lily, my niece. She started to throw the crackers in the water, and the ducks swam over to us. Splash! And the ducks opened their beaks and ate all the food. They opened all the way. So when I was writing the story, I remembered that the ducks opened their mouths really wide. So that is what made me want to put dashes in between the letters of open so that I could show just how open the mouths were. So do you see how I stretched out the words in my story to make you really see what was happening? And then I would put my story away, and then I would go to the snowy day. So now, students, it's your turn to stretch out the words. So let's do it together on a different page of the snowy day. So I am going to, it's hard to see, I am going to read this page aloud. And while I'm reading the page aloud, listen and think about a word on the page where you could use dashes in between the letters to ask the reader to say the word more slowly. So we're talking about Peter again, and he pretended he was a mountain climber. He climbed up a great big tall heaping mountain of snow, and he slid all the way down. So at this point, I would ask the students which word they might want to put dashes in between. And I would get suggestions from the class. And I'm pretty sure one of these kids would say the word all. And I would say, yes, if we use dashes between the letters of the word all, that might help the readers to visualize how high the mountain of snow on the page really is. So let's try it again, I would tell the students. I'm going to read another page in the snowy day. And as I read, listen for a word that we could use dashes between letters, just like Ezra Jack Keats does. So I would turn to another page in the book. Hopefully you can see this. One winter morning, Peter woke up and looked out the window. Snow had fallen during the night. It covered everything as far as he could see. Um, at this point, I would ask the students to turn and talk to their neighbors on the rug and discuss which word sounded like we should put dashes in between the letters to slow down how we say that word and to give the readers, a good idea. And once again, I'm pretty sure somebody, at least one person, would say the word far. And I would say, yes, if we use dashes between letters of the word far, that might help the reader to see as far as Peter sees the snow. And I would also have chart paper behind me. And this is something I would have done previously when we were talking about the other page with the word all. I would have chart paper and I would write the word far with the dashes in between. And, I would probably write out other words that the students had given me and try out different words to see how each word works with the dashes in between. All right, so at this point, I would ask the class to go back to a story that they had previously written and reread their story and reread each page again and think about which words they could use to stretch, what words they could stretch out to make the reader have a better understanding of what is happening in the story. And then you could add it in with blue pen. I would give them blue pens, and I'd say you could add out the dashes in blue pens. And I would remind them that today and every day, you could always try to stretch out words like Ezra Jack Keats. So all of you will be going back and add on stretched out words to the piece you already have, and thumbs up when you are ready. And then the students would go off and do some writing. Now, some of the differentiated support I would offer at this point is I would check to make sure that the students with the OT issues, the fine motor skills, I would make sure he has his triangle pencil grip. And I would pull a strategy group of the 3 students that need small group settings, and I would review the assignment with them. And then later on, of course, I would check in with those students to see how it is going. Mid-workshop possibilities, I would share someone's example of stretched out words, probably more than one. And I would do informal assessments as I'm walking around while the children are writing. I would probably walk around with a conference clipboard and make notes of the children's progress. And then, of course, we have the share towards the end of the class. And I would say something like, you all tried to make your work interesting by adding in stretched out words like Ezra Jack Keats, and then I would share some of the kids' work. And that is it for this lesson. Thanks for watching.